Welcome everybody, my name is Poison Ducky and I'm going to be playing as the beloved Sons of Bretonnia. Having this intro come out of the loading screen, haven't done that in a little bit, but I'll be facing the Tides of Chaos, which is a little unusual as well, as I'm usually the one playing Chaos. But let's go over my army. I'm going to have a front line of foot squires. It's really cost effective in this matchup, I think. They're only like 600 gold, and they have armor piercing and a bonus versus infantry with a decent amount of armor themselves. So they'll trade very well against Chaos Warriors and do okay against Chosen. They're just completely outclassed by them, but they can do some damage. So 3 units in the front. I do have the majestic, the beautiful, what everyone wants in their life, is, especially if you're a peasant, it's the Grail Relique. It has a magical aura. It's going to give some good old-fashioned immune to psychology and plus 12 leadership, making the Terror Bomb Chaos faction much easier to deal with, just especially if they have something like a Dragon Ogre Shag of like jumping into these foot squires. Don't want them to be fleeing. And that gives 96 leadership to these foot squires. That pretty much makes them near unbreakable as long as the Grail Relique is there. Now I'm going to have some periphery spear and arm with shields. There's spear units. They hold them back. They're peasants. Peasants can do the job, but if you want real peasants, you've got peasant mob. Now these guys cost 100. They've got their forks. They've got their pitchforks and shovels. They can kill anything on the Chaos roster. Just give them enough time and enough peasants, and you'll do just fine. Some peasant bowmen with pox arrows because they slow down whoever they hit and reduce their armor piercing and armor, just normal damage overall. Another peasant mob, and I think I'm going to have a Royal Air Force here with the good old Alberic de Bordelot with his nice Trident of Manon. I didn't actually bring the ability, weapon ability, but I do have the ability right here. Where is it? The Braid of Bordelot, which increases +8 bonus versus large and leadership. So as he flies over the peasant mob, they have bonus versus large all of a sudden, so they might as well be halberds, you know? So the Royal Pegasus Knights accompanying him, it's going to be a very powerful Air Force, and Royal Pegasus Knights are interesting in that they have perfect vigor. So they never get tired. I will be able to use them over and cycle charge hit over and over again, and Chaos will have some trouble getting that dealt with. Now, I do have the Regiment of Renowned Companions of Quenelle, which is going to be the powerful. They just changed this unit. There are like questing knights, but on steroids because they have an anti-large bonus as well. They can pretty much 1v1 any large unit in the game and win, especially with the extra bonus versus large that Alberic gives. Now, can't go wrong with Gotrek. I need Gotrek here mainly because he's insurance against Kolek, Archaon, any single target, and any giants, anything like that. Extremely potent against those kind of units. Gotrek is the monster-killing slayer of old, and getting a slayer on a Bretonnian army roster is pretty neat. I'm going to have a life caster, and let's see what the Chaos brings. Of course, you already see 2 Chaos Warhounds with poison, which are going to be a devastating force against my peasant bowman. But what is going to be his front line? He's going to have Chaos Warriors with halberds. I've been trying to experiment with them, but I just find Chaos Warriors halberds are just not cost-effective. Too slow, not enough mass. But he has Chaos Marauders with great weapons, which is actually a great choice. They only cost 500, meaning they'll actually trade pretty effectively against my foot squires if they have support. The Regiment around Summoners of Rage, really extremely powerful. Dragon Ogre Shaggers with their bonus versus large. It's going to be a monster fight. He's going to have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death with the powerful spells like Spirit Leech, Fate of Buna, Doom of Darkness, and all those silly dark spells. And a unit of Chosen in the far back. This is going to be very tough. Now, you're thinking that's not very much money invested, and that's because he has 2 Gore Beast chariots. You don't actually see this unit very often. They're armor piercing. I really only see them in the dwarf matchup, I would say, because they're chariots that have armor piercing, while other chariots in the game mostly don't, except like Cetra, right? So, interesting pick here. Really good against foot squares, ironically enough. They're going to trade really well against them, which is really good pick by my opponent. Like, maybe he thought forward, maybe he's like, oh, he's going to go with a foot squire centric build, but that can be very devastating. But let's get this battle on the way. Let's get the unit card too. And the Chaos Warhound trap has sprung, and I'm like, oh god, I need to defend these guys because peasant bowmen will get shredded to pieces. So I'm going to intercept one of these Chaos Warhounds, and I'm going to try to get the other one defended by the good old Spearman. I almost said Chaos Spearman. That would be the most devastating thing in the world. Like, imagine Chaos Warriors with spears. That would be completely overpowered. Now, if these Chaos Warhounds do get into the back line of Peasant Bowmen and deal a devastating amount of damage, but I do get some good charges on them, and one already routing off the battlefield, and I should deal with the second one relatively quickly. But here comes the punch. It's the Gore Beast Chariots. I'm not sure exactly how to deal with them because they're high mass and their ability to just run. It's like these guys are literally being pulled along by gorillas. I'm going to try to fire my poison arrows in here to slow them down, which will be nice, but the frontline engagement is starting, and I do have a nice flank. I'd have the front line of Foot Squires, and because he had such a huge gap in his lines, I actually got a surround by Foot Squires, which is nothing, you don't see that very often. Now, a good old Soul Blight reducing my armor and allowing for more damage, but I see those Dragon Ogres, and I'm going to go for the kill. I know the Companions of Quenelle are actually amazing, and while they may not look like they'll win this fight, because Summoners of Rage are 2,000, they most definitely will, especially with the Air Force that I'm going to bring. Now, good old Gotrek, he's so slow, he's stubby, dangerous over short distances. He's on his way, but it's going to take a while. But I'm going to start this huge Alpha Strike on the Summoners of Rage. Now, Summoners of Rage actually don't have that much armor. What's it? Here it is. Summoners, I believe I can get you. 60 armor is not that much, and even though it'll negate some of the damage, but Royal Pegasus Knights excel at destroying large units like this. Now, I got a good hold over his Chaos Sorcerer, and these Summoners are already out of the battlefield 2 minutes in, while the good old Horse Masters are going to be throwing their spears into my Foot Squires. Now, in the overall picture of how my battle is going, my infantry is actually doing okay. I've taken out the Chaos Marauders with great weapons, although taking a lot of damage in return, but it's the Grail Relique that's keeping them in the fight. Look at these guys. They have 23 models left. They have 27 kills, but they're fighting Chosen, which is nothing to laugh at. A spell here, another Soul Blight reducing the armor, which is actually really effective, making sure the Chosen can get their unarmor piercing damage on these Foot Squires, and they're going to start to rout, but like look at that. God, these guys last forever. Now, the Railhounds are going to go into the Grail Relique, doing a little bit of damage, but nothing the Pegasus Knights can't change. Everyone knows that you have to rally to the Grail Relique, never let it down in any circumstance possible. Now, I'm using the Lore of Life consecutively to heal up Alberic. That's one of the weaknesses of Alberic. He doesn't have any healing, not like the other Lord. What was his name again? It just slips the mind. But that's why you bring Lore of Life. Good old Earthbuds and Regrowths will keep him alive for some time. And, of course, the Spirit Leech spam is going to negate some of that, but healing is almost always more effective than damage spells in this game. Now, it's going to be a 1v2 with the Chaos Lord and the Gore Beast Chariot, but Gore Beast Chariots are just not built for fighting single-target enemies. And even though Alberic is outnumbered, he will deal with these two relatively easily. But when the Royal Air Force comes in, the RAF, there's going to be a crumping on the likes of these Chaos forces. Now, pretty much everything on my forces, like the Quenelle, the Companions of Quenelle chasing off the Gore Beast Chariots, my infantry are dying, and they're just terrible positions. They're going to go at it, but they're peasants, and peasants are meant to die. Remember, sacrifices are meant to happen, but I'm going to shatter this Chaos Sorcerer of Death. The Gore Beasts don't have much left, and Gotrek finally made it to the battlefield. Oh, he did only got 16 kills, but you know what? He was insurance against Dragon Ogre Shaga, so it's good that I brought him, even though he didn't do that much. So overall, I think that's going to start triggering army losses as everyone's starting to shatter. Even the great Chosen of the Gods cannot face the mighty peasant mobs of Bretonnia, as Albec the Bertolo and his beautiful Air Force. If I do play Bretonnia, I think the Air Force is probably one of the most fun ways you can play this faction. So overall, great game to my opponent, and let's see what he did. It was Too Much Jamboree. That's a fun name. But peasant mobs, of course, like that may seem like a 0. That's more like 100 kills because it's the moral wins. But Foot Squires, look at these guys. 68, 27. 27 is less than I expected. 74, but they did get a chevron. Maybe they were fighting Chosen. 74, and unfortunately the peasant mobs did get compromised by the Chaos Warhounds, which is good play, but I took them off the battlefield relatively quickly, and all the power of the Alberic and the Air Force taking down all of his major large units without a problem. And of course, I kept the Grail Relique alive. Can't play Bretonnia without keeping that alive. You lose that, you lose the game. I'm a little being sarcastic, but I hope you guys liked the video. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want more. I'll catch you guys later.